Hello and good evening, and welcome to Voices of a Vic podcast with myself, Ben Aiton, Mike Duffy, Joe Thomas, and Katie Kirkley. And this is our final podcast of the season. I know you're all disappointed and sad, but don't worry, we'll be back next year for a brand new series of the Voices of a Vic. We're going to end this in a bit of fun, really, a bit of a laugh. We are going to do our very own keep, loan, or sell for the entire Watford squad. I know there's Uncle Ron's watching; he'll probably sell the whole lot, but unfortunately, that's not how football works, and we'll have to maybe stick with a few more players a bit longer than he anticipates. But we'll give our opinions on who we want to keep, loan, or sell. There's a little bit of a time delay between me and everyone else tonight. I think my internet connections is a bit dodgy. So please stick with us, and hopefully we'll get through the show absolutely fine. But I'll come to Mike first. Mike, how are you doing, mate? You all good?
Yeah, all good. Another last podcast of the season. They come round quick, don't they? Season 5, that was the well, this will be the last one of season 5, and then when we're back next, whenever that may be, after a nice break, it will be season 6 of Voices of the Vic, which is quite crazy to think about it, really, because I didn't think we'd make 6 episodes, let alone 6 seasons. So yeah, it's good. I'm looking forward to this one. I've really enjoyed the last couple. We've had a good laugh with them. So yeah, looking forward to getting stuck in.
Fantastic. It won't be long till we get ourselves stuck in anyway. Joe, how are you? How are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Good. Looking forward to doing the podcast. As you say, last one of the season. Shame. First full season. Been great, isn't it? Been a good season discussing all things Watford. Obviously not been great all the time, but still it's been fun nonetheless. So yeah, looking forward to getting back next season as well.
Yeah. Hopefully the summer goes quite quickly and we can get back into Vicarage Road quite quickly. Katie, how are you doing?
I'm good. I love doing these end of season podcasts. Nice to look back on the season and nice to have a little break over the summer. But I do feel like as soon as you have that break, you're thrown into the pre-season and all the transfer starts up. So it doesn't feel like you're away from it for that long. And obviously we've got the Euros too. So I'm excited for the new season already, and it's literally just finished.
Yeah, we've had a few good interviews from Tom Cleverley lately as well in the Watford Observer as well, which probably whetted our appetite for next season as well. So it gets us a little bit more excited. But we'll start the fun here anyway with our. It's a new thing for a Voice of the Vic. We wanted to do our opinion on the Watford squad on who would want to keep, loan, or sell. So it'd be interesting to get everyone's opinion now. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube, get involved in the comments as well. Let us know who you would want to keep or sell or loan. Even if you're watching this back at a later time after we've finished recording, let us all know in the comments as well. We read through absolutely everything. So yeah, make sure you get involved. So we'll jump straight into it, shall we? I've created a tier list. I know we've seen plenty of tier lists lately on Twitter and that, and half of them are absolutely ridiculous. I wouldn't even say half of them, probably 90% of them are ridiculous. But this one's not going to be ridiculous because we're the Voices of Vic, and this is our opinions, and it's going to absolutely smash it out the park. So I'm going to start with Mike first, and I'm going to give you, Mike. It will help if I had my screen open. Ben Hamer. What would you like to do with Ben Hamer? His contract's up at the end of the season. Would you want to renew his contract, or do you thank him for his time and you wouldn't sell him, you release him? But what would you do with Ben Hamer?
I would probably get rid, and that will tie into another answer that I'll give for another player whenever we get round to him. But look, he's had a great season, involved a lot more than I think we all thought he'd be. And for large parts, when he was involved, he often was fantastic. I won't go into too much more detail, but all I'll say is Preston away. He was something else. So, yeah, but I'd say thank you very much, Mr. Hamer, and maybe he can get someone in League One or be back up to another Championship side.
Okay, so Mike's gone for release, which would go under the sell category. I forgot to say at the start of this as well, there's 4 of us here. We're all going to give our opinions on it. If it's a tie, I'll have a deciding vote on it because I'm hosting tonight, and that's the way it goes sometimes. Caity, what about Ben Hamer for you?
I am literally gonna echo exactly what Mike said. I'm gonna say release sell as well because it would tie into a different answer that I would have said for someone else. So for me, it's sort of a pecking order thing. I feel like he probably, if we kept him, I'm not sure he would probably ever play. So for me, it's a sell.
Brilliant. And Joe?
Yeah, I mean, my answer wasn't going to time with anything else, but yeah, he's a release for me. Thank you very much for your service, Mr. Hamer. You've done well in the games that you've played, and I appreciate all the effort that you've given the club. And you did bring a calming presence in that back line when you came in, when it was needed, and I can't fault him for his time at the club. So thank you very much. Good luck for the future.
Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same. I'm on board with all of you. You've all said everything I would have wanted to say about Ben Hamer. Thank you for his time. Good pro. He helped us out massively when we needed it, when Batman was struggling for form, and did a decent job. I think we'll always remember his penalty saves as well. But yeah, thank him for his time, and hopefully he can carry on his footballing career, because I know he's getting to the later stages of his career, but I'm sure there's still a keeper in there. Hopefully he can get some first team football elsewhere. So yeah, that's the first one. So that's Ben Hamer. We're not going to give him a new contract. We'll release him. I'm going to go stick with it as well. I'm going to go for Jake Livermore, Caity. Obviously out of contract again at the end of the season. Would you re-sign Jake Livermore, or would you get rid of him?
Do you know, it's actually funny about this because today in my uni lecture, I was looking at, well, it wasn't in my lecture, but it was in uni. I was looking at our wage bill, and Livermore's up there. He's probably one of the highest paid people at the club. And personally, I would probably sell. I think maybe if you had asked me in this first half of the season, I would have said keep, but his age, I think, was sort of starting to show towards the end of the season. He didn't really get a look in. So I feel like he's a bit unproven with that. He literally didn't play after that QPR game. So I think for me, it's not enough to keep him around, especially if he's on such a high wage. I think he was probably great as a leader presence. We've always praised him, and I would continue to praise him. And I think he did really well when he was here for when he was playing. But I think it is just someone on the wage bill that we don't need. He's sort of past it, he's not playing. We need to have people who can have that leadership presence but are playing consistently, and it's worth the money. So for me, it's probably a sell because it's just not really worth keeping him, really.
No, I agree with you as well. He's massively high on that wage bill, and I just don't think he's got the legs as much now. And he hasn't really featured too much under Tom Cleverley either. So yeah, I would say that it's released for me on Jake Livermore. So that's 2 for Jake Livermore so far. Joe, what would you do?
Yeah, mine's a release as well. Thank you very much for the 2 goals at QPR. Again, another calming influence among the team, and obviously brought good experience to the youngsters when he was in and around the squad. So probably helped them a lot on the training ground and gave them some good advice. So yeah, thanks very much, Mr. Livermore. But yeah, good luck for the future. I hope you get a good move to maybe a League One. I could actually see him going somewhere like Derby, to be honest. He could do well at Derby, give a bit of experience because they've got quite a young squad and they've just come up. So it'd be nice to see him get a move like that. But yeah, lower Championship, higher League One, I think, for Mr. Livermore moving forward.
Yeah, so that's 3 votes for Jake Livermore now. Mike, would you be exactly the same?
Yeah, this has been quite samey so far, and those tuning in are probably thinking, well, if they're all going to go the same, then I won't continue to watch. But yeah, look, he's he's been a good servant. He got a lot of stick when he was announced, people saying his legs had gone, but ultimately he's done a lot better than we thought. And you never know, he might get a move to Middlesbrough because he seems to like the hotels up there. So we'll see. But yeah, good luck to him, and thanks for everything you've done for us, Jake.
Whilst we was discussing all of that, I've put in a new category as well for release, so it doesn't cause any confusions for anyone watching on YouTube. We're going to go for the next player. We're going to talk about loan players at the moment who have been on loan at Vicarage Road. Would you want them to return? Let's start with Joe. Emmanuel Dennis. Would you want him to return next season?
No, I wouldn't. The move didn't really quite. I've touched on this a few times in the podcast that we've done. It's not really quite worked out for him. The passion was there, the enthusiasm was there in the interviews when coming back to the club, and it all sounded really great and stuff to listen to, and that it was going to be, the dream move back to Vicarage Road. But for whatever reason, he was injured. It wasn't his fault, I get. Didn't really quite work out. Thank you ever so much for the goals you scored and the euphoria you caused at St Andrews, home to Leeds. There was a few big goals there. So yeah, thanks very much and good luck for the future.
Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I really want to be different here and say, well, look, he didn't have a pre-season with us. He came in and wasn't playing much in Turkey, so his fitness wasn't there, and he might be a different player with a full pre-season. But yeah, I don't think it's going to work out. Unfortunately, there was a few flashes in the pan, as Joe said, that Leeds game, the Birmingham game, but then there was far too many that outweighed that, where he come on and he just didn't look up to the races whatsoever. So for that reason, and I think the Forest owner would be quite reluctant to loan him out again. I think they'll try and cash in on him if they can. So for me, send him back.
Yeah, I'm the same. I don't think we've got the cash to bring him back anyway, but I think he went missing too many times for me. He had goals in him, but for me, he wasn't at the races, and it wasn't the amount of Emmanuel Dennis that we had in the Premier League. I could go into details more, but we've got so many more players to go through. Caity, would you be exactly the same as all of us so far? Emmanuel Dennis, no thank you.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't. I put out a poll one time saying how would people want him back as a full transfer, or reloan him again, or not keep him, and most people said they would happily reloan him. I think, like you've said, I don't think Forest would. It's very unlikely that we would probably see that. I just think he hasn't made as much of an impact as we thought that he would. Don't get me wrong, he scored some great goals. He's given us some good moments this season, and when he came back, it was nice, to have him back and see how he speaks about the club. That was good, but I just feel like he's not someone who I look back at that team and I think, oh yeah, he was a standout. It was sort of very much coasting. So for me, it wasn't enough to say, oh, you could say, oh, give him a full season, give him pre-season, give him that. But for me, I think he's a bit past it. Like you said, it wasn't the same as when we had him before. So I don't think Forest would let us loan him again. So for me, it's not worth a full transfer. So I would not re-sign him.
Okay, another clean sweep. I think the next one's going to be a clean sweep as well. We'll keep it short on the next one. Jamal Lewis, I'll start off. If you listen to the last podcast, you'll know how I feel about Jamal Lewis. I'm not going to go into details again. I definitely wouldn't have him back. One of the worst left backs I've ever seen represent the football club, and I've seen Matthew Briggs. Mike, what about you?
You said anyone that listened to the last podcast, you tore fucking strips off the poor lad. But yeah, no, send him back. He not worked out. So much hard, but not worked out.
Caity?
Bye. Do not come back near Watford ever.
Joe?
I've got the car out the front ready to take him back.
You know that next season he's going to get a championship loan, come to Vicarage Road, and he's going to tear us a new one.
Yeah, he'll be the best player we've ever seen.
Yeah.
I reckon he'll go to a place like QPR as well and rip it up there.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so next player. The jury's out, really. Is he a lone player or is he a Watford player? There's lots of rumours about it. Matthias Martins.
He's a Udinese player.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hear stories though, don't you, about is
On
he
loan.
an actual Watford player that's not actually been announced? Is he Indonesian? But we'll class this as a lone player anyway. Joe, Matthias Martins, what would you do with him?
I wouldn't keep as much as the hype and the excitement about him. I don't think he's quite as good as Yasser, Richarlison was, and João Pedro. They've all kind of just a class above him, I think. Unfortunately, went missing too many times in too many games, and like Mike has touched on a few times, after that Swansea game, he just didn't really do it for me. So for that reason, I wouldn't have him back, and wish him all the best for the future, and hope it works out in Italy with the other 25,000 Watford players they've got. Watford B, good luck.
To the stadium, can't they? Good win for them the other night as well, by the way. Caity, what would you do with Martins?
I would probably keep him. Probably because I think he's a good. I think it's really tough because what we saw in his first season, like he was really good, and I think this season I'm gonna give him benefit of the doubt and say he didn't really get a lot of chance. I think he was very low on the pecking order. I think if you're gonna keep someone in that position, I'd probably be keeping him. I think he's good for the sort of a backup, but he needs to do better. He needs to prove himself more if we were going to keep him. But obviously, like you said, we don't really know if he's our player or someone else's player. I would keep him, but he's someone I would definitely see leaving.
Yeah, he's definitely a Pozzo player, so he could definitely end back up here next season. Mike, what about you on Martins?
Yeah, for me, bit like the Dennis situation, he's had too many games where he hasn't performed against games where he has. So for me, I think, as Joe put it perfectly, he's your typical Italian league player. And I think he'd do really well at Udinese actually as well. So for me, he goes back to Udinese, and yeah, we say thank you, but it's not going to work out.
Looks like Pat Butcher's going back to Udinese then. I wouldn't personally re-sign him, but I think that he might end back up at Vicarage Road next season. There's just something telling me that he might come back. And like Philip Crouch has said here, we don't have any money to sign new players and can't let everyone go. I think Gino will want to keep him around the club because he knows the club. It's another year under English football under his belt. Maybe next season he'll be more improved, might be a bit stronger on the ball as well. But yeah, I wouldn't re-sign him, but I just think Gino might want to bring him back. Right, so that's all our loan players and also out of contract. So now we'll just go into just standard Watford players that are contracted for longer than this season. Caity, I'm going to come to you on this one. Jeremy Ngakia just signed a new contract. He's made out of glass. What would you do with him?
Get him out. Literally sell him. Like, he will probably get nothing for him anyway. It's probably just like literally put him down. Like, he's literally
put him down. He's like, not a dog.
This guy is not going to get signed by anyone. He's probably going to have to rot in the club until he decides to retire at 25. Like, this guy is never going to play football for more than a week. Like, he cannot last one game. Who wants him? No one wants him. Literally no one is going to want him apart from maybe some like Sunday league club who's going to be like, oh yeah, we'll have him. Don't get me wrong, he's okay, and I feel like it's going to be unpopular, but he's not good. Like, I don't enjoy watching him play. He's so injury prone. He's just racking up literally he's keeping the medics in a job. That's his role of being at the club. He's not a footballer. He is just injury prone, and he needs to go because seriously, I cannot make him I can't watch Watford Twitter be like, oh, Jeremy's nearly back from injury. Literally tweet that game. Oh yeah, Jeremy's out. 6 months. Yeah, he's gone. Like, literally, how can you be a footballer and be that injury prone? Like, I seriously have a hatred. He needs to go.
I thought I ranted about Jamal Lewis last
Yeah.
week. Wow. Wow. Okay, that's the most passionate I've ever seen Caity. Okay. Joe, what about you? Same feelings towards Jeremy Ngakia?
I don't think I can follow that.
Is
You
it
know
hard to
what?
follow?
I think it was the most ludicrous decision ever made by the club to give him a contract of the length they did. 4 years, was it? Yeah, a 4-year or 5-year contract then. For a player that is so injury prone, I just cannot believe that they would be so stupid, because obviously, I know they love paying off managers, but if they want to get rid of him, they're going to have to pay him off something to get rid of him, which is just a complete and utter waste of money to the club. And like it's just been alluded to just there, we don't have much money as it is. So, hopefully he's nice enough and says, maybe get away with a year's payoff and that's him gone. But yeah, for me, I just wouldn't keep him, and I'd just get someone that, I'd actually get, you could just see Ferreira coming back, really, couldn't you, from Udinese to replace him. But yeah, definitely sell or release or whatever you want to do and put him in the bin.
Fucking hell.
I know he has signed a new contract, but I think they changed the terms of his contract. So the contract he's on now is more of a pay as you play. So if he is injured, he's not going to be picking up a salary. So it is helping, as in we're not wasting money on him now. So hope it's a bit of an incentive for him to try and get fit, and every time you play a game, you'll get wages for it. So that does help. But
You could have told me that before I ripped into him.
Yeah, poor old Caity.
Yeah,
Mike, what about you and Jeremy Ngakia?
I'm really split in two minds here, because the one is agreeing with what everyone else has said. He is so injury prone, and why bother keeping him around, because he's never going to be fit. However, I am Team Cameron on this, and I do think when he is fit, he is probably our strongest right back option. Especially looking back on what we've seen of Ryan Andrews of late, perhaps not being up to par with his performances, maybe suits attacking as opposed to more of a defensive fullback, so maybe a wing back sort of thing. But I think Jezza is a good player. It's just keeping him fit. Now, the fact that you've just said about that, it's more a pay as you play, I would be inclined to keep him around and hope that he does get fit and he can get a run of games. So for me, I'm going to book the trend on this one. I'm going to say keep Jezza.
Oh, 2-1 now. You know what? I'm actually siding with Mike, so he would end up being kept. I think he's a better overall defender than Ryan Andrews. I think Ryan Andrews is obviously young and he's got a lot of flaws. He's fantastic going forward, but defensively, there's a lot of question marks. His positioning as well at times. If Jeremy Ngakia is fit, I would start him over Ryan Andrews. And I know there's people probably shaking their heads, just like Joe and Caity are now.
Below me.
But also the pay as you play contract as well. It's not like money or Watford are throwing money down the drain, because they're not going to pay him when he's injured. And with a shoestring budget that Watford's got now, I think he's going to be good to keep in and around the club. So unfortunately, I'm going to keep Jeremy Ngakia, and it's 2-2, and I'm the host. Obviously, the host wins. So he is in the keep category. Let us know in the comments if you agree with this. I imagine 90% of you won't agree with this. But we'll move on to the next player just before I get lynched. Wesley Hoot, Mike. This has to be an easy one, right?
Yeah, we're keeping him unless a big bid, easy for me to say, comes in. And then I think we'll have to take it, but keep.
Caity, you can't get into the comments. That doesn't work unless there's another WFC Caity saying I disagree. Yeah, I'm the same as you. Build that defense around Wesley, who is absolutely fantastic, and he's a great leader. But we've seen this season, very commanding on the ball, just fantastic. So I would keep Wesley Hoot as well. Joe?
Yeah, keep him. Sexy man.
Sexy man. He's up there with Sexy Kiembe, isn't he? And then Caity, I imagine yours is going to be keep as well.
Yeah, it's 100% going to be keep.
There he is. Wesley Hoot
Oh,
is
oh.
not going for loan. He's going for keeps. At least we're building a team now. There's 2 players in there for next season.
Exactly.
We'll try and speed through some of these because I'm conscious on time. Mike Tommins.
Tommins, release.
Release. Oh, release, not sell.
No, we won't get anything for him. He's out of contract, then he at the end of.
No,
did we
he's
offer him
still in
2
contract.
years? Has he still got a year left?
Yeah.
Sell then. I could
Sell.
see him going back to Derby. Now they've come back up.
Yeah, no possibility. Joe.
Fucking hell, Joe.
Sell.
We needed
Sell,
that.
okay.
Who wants to be a millionaire music? Do, do, do.
Sorry, yeah, sell. Tough one.
Caity, what about you on comments?
Yeah, I'd probably sell as well.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think it hasn't really worked out for him, and I'm gutted about that because I had him down as top goal scorer. So, but unfortunately, Tommins is going to be the first one we're going to sell from our list. It's not really working for me tonight, is it? I'll get it working anyway. Next person, Yasser Espria. Caity.
This is a tough one because obviously I would want to keep him, but I'm also torn between cashing him in. I mean, if he wants to stay, I would definitely give him another season in the Championship. I think that would be a massive difference between a price thing. I think another season in the Championship could give him another 10 million onto his price tag, I think. But I'm also kind of like, oh, if money comes in for him now, I think we should cash. So, I don't know. I'm probably going to go with keep because I obviously want to keep him, but there's sort of 2 sides.
Okay, we'll take keep from you then. Mike, what about Yasser?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be keep, but I also, like Caity said, if the money comes in, we probably have to sell. So keep for me.
Yeah, I'm the same as both of you. It's the boy's so talented, and I think another season in the Championship will be fantastic for him. It's just obviously we might have to balance our books, so a big bid could come in, and we'll have to accept it. But I would love him to stay for 1 more year, just to give us a bit of flair, because I don't see where that's going to come apart from Georgie Chapfordasky. Joe, what about you?
Yeah, I would 100% keep him. A real talent, but yeah, if a big bid comes in and it's the fees that are being talked about, I read the other day, I don't know if I put it in our chat, but Inter Milan have joined the race now and seem very interested in signing him, and so they've just won the league. They're going to want to strengthen for next season. So yeah, big bid could be imminent from a European side. So if that's the case, if the money, like Cleverly said today, is going to be put back into the club so he can get some players and take the money. And not that I want him to go, but for the good of the club and stuff, right time and all that. So yeah, I'd keep him, but as I say, sell if the right bid.
Yeah, keep Yasser Espria. Next player, Francisco Sirielta. Caity, what do you do with him?
Yeah, I'd probably keep him as well. I think there's sort of no reason to get rid or loan him. I think when he's been here, he's been quite a solid member of this defense. So yeah, I'd keep him around.
Okay, I would actually sell him, and that's only because he's been around the club for a while. Wesley Hoot and Porteous are obviously the favourable 2. I would want to try and find an upgrade on Sirielta. He's been in and out of a team quite a bit. Maybe look for a younger version of Sirielta to come in. I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to move back to maybe Italy either. So I would put him in the sell category. Joe, what about you?
I'd keep him. Yeah, I'm in agreement with Caity. I'd keep him. I think he's a good squad player. I think, when he's come in, he doesn't really put too much of a foot wrong, to be honest. Obviously, he was part of that team that got promoted in in lockdown, and obviously he was a unit then. I would 100% keep him in and around for now.
Yeah, and Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to copy and paste what Joe and Caity said. I think he's a key member of the squad, good player to have if one of your centre-back options does go injured. But just to go off the back of what you said, Ben, now you've said it, I could absolutely maybe see him going to Udinese and another player coming our way. But yeah, keep for me.
Okay, so that's 4 players that we've kept so far. Quick recap for everyone. Keep is Jeremy Ngakia, Wesley Hoot, Yasser Espria, Francisco Sirielta. Don't re-sign is Emmanuel Dennis, Jamal Lewis, Mateus Martins. Release is Ben Hamer, Jake Livermore, and sell is Tom Ince. Mike, Vacuum Bio.
Vacuum Bio. I would probably keep him again. I might get my head served on a silver salver for this, but I think he's a decent enough squad player. I certainly don't want to go into the next season with him sort of spearheading the attack, but I think keep him.
Yeah, Caity.
I'm gonna say sell, but because it's gonna tie into something else, I'm gonna say, and it's sort of with the Hamer thing, I think he would be low in the pecking order. So for me, it would probably be sell. I just think he's had a couple. I mean, I like him, I do, but if I'm gonna pick between him or Irish, it's not gonna be Bio, unfortunately. So that's my opinion. Oh, I'm gonna literally get killed. But
Maybe
yeah,
that's a spoiler with what.
yeah, I'm
Katie's
giving
gonna
you.
do
I'm
later
giving you
on.
away. Mix a sell, yeah.
She'll keep that one close to her chest, I'm sure. Joe, what about you and Vacuum Bio?
It's a tough one, I think. I would, just for the say, I can't get rid of the whole squad and start again. I would keep him. I would keep him.
Okay. See, I would sell him. I would. I love him. I think his work rate is absolutely tremendous. But when it's in the 18-yard box, 6-yard box, I think he can do a lot more. And I think that part of the game lets him down, and he's a striker at the end of the day. And if that part of the game's letting you down, then I don't think it's right for you, especially in this team where we need to rely on goals. So for me, Vacuum Bio, I would let him move on. I think potentially he could end up going back to Belgium in the summer either. It's going to be a massive transfer window, this is for Watford, and we'll talk about it a little bit at the end if we have time. But I think we should be looking at 2, maybe 3 strikers this summer to come in at the moment. And I think Vacuum Bio, we could get a transfer fee for him as well. So that's why I'm putting him in the sell category. So that's Vacuum Bio heading out the door with Tom Ince. Mike, youngster, Shaq Ford, what would you do? Keep him, loan him, or would you sell him?
I mean, this one's a little bit tricky because I sort of need to see what's going to happen pre-season. I think, judging on what Leyton Orient fans said, I would probably send him out on another loan. And I wouldn't be against sending him out on loan again to Orient, but it sounds to me like reading comments online that, yes, there is a player there, but he just needs that. So he's still a bit rough around the edges. So he just needs to sort of, sort his game out a little bit more, and that'll come with regular football at League One. So for me, I would send him on loan.
Yeah. See, I would keep him in the first team squad. I think he's a Watford-born player. He's obviously homegrown. He's picked up lots of experience out on loan lately. York City in the National League. Then he went 2 leagues up to Leyton Orient. I think he got Young Player of the Season for Leyton Orient as well. Tom Cleverley is going to want him in and around the club. I think he's a better striker than Toby Abiamu as well. And I think he's going to be involved next season from the bench. And hopefully cup games he might get a start as well. But yeah, let's give him a chance. Let's see what he can do. Caity, what would you do with Shaq Ford?
Yeah, I'm quite torn as well. I think it sort of depends who we're bringing in. Like, if we bring in people that are obviously going to be above him, I would want him to go out on loan to obviously get game time, because I definitely think there's a player there, and we've literally heard nothing but good things from the clubs that he's been in. So it's obvious that he's been doing well, and realistically, the next thing to do is to give him that first team chance to reward him basically. But I do think I would be disappointed if we went ahead and went, oh, this is going to be our first team like strike. I feel like that is a bit not very ambitious if we're sort of just using the players that we already have. I want us to sign new players. So for me, I'd probably go with loan again. But I would definitely give him like a pre-season, see how he does. If he knows he's not going to get game time, loan him out. But yeah.
Looks like Mike's head's going to fall off his nodding that much. Joe, what about you?
You talk about ambition, Caity, but we just started the season with Rajovic. I mean, that's
Goal scorer.
Yeah, I know. You know what? I actually think I wouldn't loan him for the whole season. I'd give him a 6-month loan up till January. I think getting him out for half a season and getting him a bit of game time, getting back where we're on the playoff push and going for promotion, getting him to score a load of goals to get us into the playoffs or even the top 2 positions. So, yeah, I reckon a loan till January and then getting back in and around the first team for the second half of the season.
Some more valuable experience for Shaq Ford out on loan for Watford. Caity, Edo Kiembe.
Yeah, keep. Think he did really great in parts of this season. No reason to sort of sell, no reason to loan. Think he would play quite a key part this season, the season coming, I think. So yeah, for me it is keep.
Yeah, same as me. I'm really impressed with his progression that he's done at Watford Football Club. I think last season he struggled a little bit. This season's been totally different, and he's been one of the first names on the team sheet. If I'm totally honest, he's been performing that well. Up towards January, he was so impressive. Obviously, picked up that injury New Year's Day away to Plymouth Argyle. Struggled to get back up to speed, but the last few months we've seen him get back up to that standard, and I definitely want him in that starting 11 for next season. So yeah, it's a keep for me on Edo Kiembe. Joe, what about you?
Yeah, 100% keep.
Yeah, nice and short. Love it, Mike.
Keep.
Perfect. This is what we're liking. We're speeding up now. Ismail Kone, Joe.
Yeah, keep for me. Yeah, great player, great squad player. I actually think he could actually step it up a gear next year and be even better than he was this year. So yeah, 100% keep.
Exactly. You can see the progression with Kone, can't you, with his game? He joined January last season, and then this season, the progression again. And he can control a game as well, and he can change a game with a drop of his shoulder that he does. And I really rate him, and I hope teams don't come in for him as well, because he's that talented. I think teams might be sniffing around him going, there's a player in him and he can play at a higher level, but hopefully he can stay. So it's keep for me as well. Caity, what about you?
Yeah, keep for me too. I think he was another key part of that midfield. So there's no reason to get rid.
Perfect. Mike?
Yeah, keep. I think you made a really good point there, Ben. I think obviously we've had success with the South American talents come through, Richarlison, João Pedro, now Asprilla. But I think don't overlook Ismail Kone, because I think he really has that high ceiling, and he can smash through it if he continues on the right path, and he has a solid season next season, and who knows, we could get some big money for him.
Yeah.
Got Canadian Player of the Season as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
So he's clearly a talent. They clearly rate him as well. So yeah, I think he's definitely one for the future.
No, definitely. I saw they've appointed a new manager now as well, Canada. They got Jesse Marsh, the former Leeds United manager, taken over.
Yeah,
in the last
Really?
that was a couple of days ago.
Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting for him. Next person on the list, Ken Sema. Mike,
This is going to hurt, but I think we sell. I just think injuries have been too much for him, and it's taken him a little bit longer to get over these injuries as well. Like he come back against, who did he come back against recently? Home game, Hull. He come off the bench, didn't he? And he was injured for ages. Like I can't remember the last time he played before that, and I just think that he's never going to get in at left back, and I don't feel fully comfortable with him playing a full season at left back. He's good to fill in there, but he's not an out and out left back. And I hope we get a left back in. So yeah, I think his time at Watford is done. He's been a great servant, and yeah, I think he might possibly go back to Udinese.
I think his time at Watford's kind of up. Really, I think it's been I think it's gone a little bit stale for Ken Sema, and you could put that down to his injuries. And like Mike's just alluded to there, it's taken him a lot longer to recover from the injuries that he sustained this season than it would have done last year or the year before. And yes, he's a great versatile player to have in your squad, but I don't know. He's not really done much for me this season. 2 assists against Rotherham, putting him on the plate for Rajvic. His goal away at Swansea. What else really comes to your mind that Ken Sema's really done this season? Before, I thought he was a decent left back when we were struggling in that area. But I just don't know. I don't think he's right for this football club for next season. Caity, what about you?
I'm really shocked that you guys think that. Like I really didn't expect that. I would keep him. I think obviously I know he's had injuries, but I think it wouldn't be fair to keep Ngakia for his injuries than keeping Sema. I know there's a massive age difference, but I think that Sema is quite like I know he has had injuries, he's not been as consistent, but he's like Watford, like he is pretty much. I know we can't keep players just because they're like Watford through and through, but I do think that there's still enough left in him. And I there were a couple games before he had that injury where he was really making a difference when he was coming on. So I think for me, maybe I just have a soft spot, but I'm gonna go with keep.
Okay, Joe.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Caity. I'm going to break your heart a little bit, but I'm the same. I think we should.
Really?
Yeah, I think you know what the guys are right. Like what Ben just said, I can't think of really too much he's done. And if he to say, "Oh, well done, you've beaten fullbacks that are playing for Rotherham who have been utterly trite this season," like that's not really good enough for keeping him in the squad. I don't think. And like Mike said, he's struggled with injuries this year, and it's taken him a bit longer to come back into the mix again. And yeah, I just think that we should. Well, I don't know what we would do. We wouldn't sell him. I think he'd probably be released, wouldn't he? Probably, as opposed to sold, or probably even loaned to Udinese. But yeah, thanks very much, Ken. Good luck for the future.
Yeah, no, he's been a fantastic servant for the club, and
Yeah, 100%.
You can't speak highly enough of Ken Sema. He's gave his all for his football club, but unfortunately, I just think his time's up. Really, I don't see him improving. He's only going to gradually decline still, and I think we're starting to see that decline in Ken Sema. I know we've upset Philip Crouch here. He said Sema is the most creative player on the left, and is the only one that can take on and beat a player. He shouted, "Keep." I was going to throw it out there as well, Philip. If Joe voted to keep, I was going to do a tiebreaker, and I would have gone with keep for you. You could have been the fifth judge, just like Britain's Got Talent. You could have been the golden buzzer, but unfortunately, Joe went for get rid as well. So, yeah, apologies for that. Next one, Ryan Andrews. I think we're all going to go for keep on this one, aren't we? Unless someone's going to be different.
Keep.
Yeah. I won't even ask you all on your thoughts on that one, because that's just a stone that's just an easy one, isn't it? Ryan Andrews will be keeping. Next one, Matty Pollock. Mike?
Keep for me. I think I hope to see more in that back three next season, providing we play that formation, obviously. But I think he's more than shown he's capable at this level now this season. And yeah, keep.
Caity?
Yep, keep.
Joe?
Yeah, 100% keep. Not even a question.
Yeah. But he's improved a lot this season, hasn't he? He's not good enough to start games still for Watford, I don't think, as a regular. But whenever there's suspensions or injuries, I think it would be decent to be called upon. So for me, Matty Pollock would be keep as well. Obviously, if we bring in maybe defenders in the summer who are maybe a higher quality than Matty Pollock, then I would maybe look to loan him out. But let's just keep him for the time being. Next one. Caity, your favourite, Mileta Rajovic.
Okay, so here's my thing. So I'm gonna go keep because I think I have a soft spot for him. I think he got top goal scorer. If you compare him and Bayer, like I'm not saying Bayer was bad. I do think he had a great work ethic. He tried really hard. Rajovic got more goals. So if you're basing it on that logic, I'm gonna keep him. I think give him a preseason. We saw in the last couple of games at the end of the season, he was getting up to a not. I know it's like, oh, well, you know, the bar's low, but he was improving. I think there is something there. He has something, and if I'm going to keep someone, I'm going to keep him as a striker. And I'm not saying he's going to play every game, and I would not keep him and be like, oh, you're going to be the main striker, you're going to be first choice. I think give him a preseason, give him another full season, see what he can do, give him some competition where he has to fight for a place and see what happens. I think no one is really going to buy him. It's probably better just keep him. So I'm going to go with keep, but I can see why people would probably say sell. I'm not saying he's the best player to ever grace us, but I think there's something there that he has, and I think he needs a chance.
No, I agree with you. I think top goal scorer as well. We can't look. We've voted to get rid of Vacuum Bio as well. Like we can't get rid of all our strikers. So for me, I think you've got to give him a pre-season. Let him try and get up to speed for Watford. It's a new league. He was playing second tier football over in Denmark or wherever it was. And I just think you can't write him off just yet. So for me, I would keep him. I'm not saying I would necessarily want him to be a starter next season, but I think it could be a good option to have off the bench. So it would be keep for me as well. Mike?
Yeah, I think whether people like to hear this or not, I think there's definitely a base to work with. As Caity rightly pointed out, as crap as he might have been this season, he did score 12 goals. Now, the fact that he was playing semi-professional, 2-3 years ago, his first season in the second tier of English football, which is probably one of the roughest and toughest leagues around, well, certainly in England, and he's chucked in and he scores 12 goals, you know, that's not a bad return. Let's try and get someone in. I'm really, really intrigued to see who this additional coach is that Cleves is going to bring in. I think they've sort of, the Warren Joyce rumours have sort of quietened down a little bit now. But let's get him on a development plan and an individual plan. I'm a bit hesitant to say bulk him up because he's not the fastest as it is. So I think bulking him up would just make it worse. But you know, really work on those holding the ball up and that, because that's what we were told he could do. But I think there is a base to work there. But like you two have said, I don't think I don't want to be seeing him as my starting striker come the first game of the season. He will definitely be a good option to have. Maybe bring on if we maybe chasing. Well, I don't know if chasing a game is sort of Rajovic's territory, but at the end of the day, a good striker, some of the best strikers in the world were tapping him in from the 6-yard box and everything. So, you know, he gets a lot of stick, but he does what it says on the tin, and he's he's a fox in the box. So I'd definitely keep him around, and I think he'll only get better with more game time in this league as well.
Mm-hmm. Joe, what about you and Rajovic? Obviously, it's 3 votes already, so we'll be keeping him. But what would you have done?
Yeah, I'd keep him. I mean, I don't think he's ever going to get up to speed, but I think he's going to be a good option to have at the club. Like we said, he scored 12 goals for us last season. There is something there. You can see there's something there. He knows he's got a good instinct to be in and around the 6-yard box when the ball's coming in, and he's a good header of the ball. I mean, we saw that with the goal he scored against Birmingham, and Chesterfield as well. Actually, was a really good header. So he's a good header of the ball in the box. I'd keep him. Like I say, we can't get rid of everybody, and he's done better than Bio. So yeah.
Fantastic. Tom Field put in a comment saying, "Where's Hurtado and Barr?" He noticed I missed them off on the bottom, so I quickly added them on. So we're going to come to one of them now, Tom. So cheers for a reminder. I slipped. They slipped my mind earlier. Hurtado, Mike. What would you do with the young Colombian?
Well, he might have genuinely been asking, like, where are they? Bar. When I saw the comment, I had to Google to check that he was actually still contracted to Watford, because he come back from an injury from Burton Albion, sort of early point last season, just gone. And we haven't heard anything whatsoever from him. So, but Hurtado, I'm basing it off however many minutes he got against Chesterfield in the Cup. I think there's a player there. The Gillingham fans liked him. Get him out on loan for me, Hurtado. Send him back to Gillingham if you want. They seem to enjoy him, but definitely get him out on loan. Although I think the reason they were able to get him on loan, I think there was a Watford connection that's no longer there now. So I don't know if it was Hessenthaler, but yeah, I'd get him back out on loan.
Yeah, I'll loan him as well, but I'd look for maybe a League One club. Let's try and up it now. Let's see what the boy's made of. He's obviously went to League Two. He impressed the Gillingham fans when he went there. We was at the FA Cup game, weren't we? And we saw him play against Chesterfield. Came off the bench, got an assist on his debut. He looked lively enough. But yeah, that was against the National League opposition. But yeah, I'll test the waters with him in League One. We've obviously built a relationship. We've built a relationship with obviously Leyton Orient. Maybe send him there. It's another London club. See how he gets on there. So yeah, it would be loan for me as well. Caity, what would you do?
Yeah, I'm the same. I'd loan. I think, like you said, there's a bit of a player in him that we saw, but it's obviously not up to speed. And he was really rated last season before he got injured. So I would definitely go for a loan.
Yeah, and Joe, what about you?
Yeah, I'd loan him as well. Like you say, he looked exciting when he came on for the brief spell at Chesterfield. Mike, you said the connection is Andy Hessenthaler at Gillingham. I think I don't know if he's a director of football now, but he obviously was manager at one point. But the Gillingham, from what I've read, Gillingham are very keen to get him back next season, and were disappointed that they weren't able to continue with the loan. Obviously, he got the injury, didn't he? And from what they saw of him, they were really excited, and a lot of them said he was the best person to put a Gillingham shirt on for the last decade. So it'd be good for him to go out on loan there, I think, if the fans like him.
Yeah. Next player who's been out on loan, Quadro Bar. What would you do with him, Caity?
Again, I would probably loan. Not sure I'd say he's up to standard yet. So, yeah, for me, it's probably another loan.
Mike?
I would look to sell him. I think he's got that sort of label of, and this might be harsh, that label of Domingo Quina, Alex Jakubiak, just basically someone that has been around the club for a few years and hasn't really made that breakthrough. And a large part of it is down to injuries. So I understand that. And it does sound like there is a player there, but maybe he needs to restart and have a fresh start lower down the league. So for me, sell.
Yeah, I'm the same as you, literally mirroring what you're saying there. I think he's just been at the club for a little bit too long. I don't think he's going to really do much. I don't think he's going to challenge for a first team spot. He's suffered with injuries a few times as well. So for me, I wouldn't bring. I would look to sell him. Joe, what about you?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just not really worked out. Worked out for him, is it, at Watford? I don't want him to get like the Jerome Sinclair tag where he just, yeah, sell him.
Yeah, okay. So that's it. Quadro Bar's going to get sold. Next one, Mike. I can't believe he's still at the club. I've just remembered another player who I missed off the list. I've added him back on. Ashley Fletcher.
Oh my God. Sell. I just, don't need to say anything else, do I? Sell him.
No,
Release
I'm
him.
the
I don't know
same.
when he was off
5-year
the 5-year
contract.
deal, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, sell him.
Yeah, I'm the same. Get him gone. He couldn't even get into Sheffield Wednesday's team. Caity, what about you?
I was gonna say, like, has he even like been playing? Like, I have not heard anything about him or seen anything about him. I definitely get rid. It's such a waste of a position in the squad and waste of money. He's obviously not doing well. He never did well when he was here. I don't really see that, he's going to improve. So I definitely get rid.
Yeah, I think he came off the bench for Sheffield Wednesday a few months ago away at Millwall and got sent off within about 5 minutes.
Oh.
And I don't know if he scored for Sheffield Wednesday either.
No, but he was our top goal scorer in the Carabao Cup in the season of the shirt that you're wearing, Ben. So, he'll always have that accolade.
We're going to have to keep him, Ben, if that's the case.
Yep.
Joe, what about you? Is it a clean sweep? Sell him?
Yeah, of course it is. He ended up with more red cards than goals at Sheffield Wednesday, I think. So, yeah. See you later, Ashley. I'll drive you wherever you want to go, mate. It's your choice.
Next one might be a little bit easier for us all. Well, that was easy, wasn't it? Ashley Fletcher, get rid. Ryan Porteous, Caity.
Keep.
Yeah,
Mike.
Whoa. I'm obsessed with his song, mate. Yeah, keep him. He's an absolute monster.
Yeah, I'm keeping as well. Him and Porteous, him and who? Fantastic partnership they got going there, and I'd like to see him stay at Vicarage Road. Joe?
Yeah, he's going to have a great Euros, isn't he? I'm looking forward to him like kick 7 bells out of people like Mbappe and stuff. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to the Euros and watching him. I think they're the opening game as well.
Yeah,
they are.
Scotland, isn't it?
Actually, I don't know. I'm saying they're good, like they're going to play France, but I don't know. I can't remember who's in their group. I think they've got a bit of a tough group, but yeah, he's going to be playing against the Europe's best players, and it'll be good to see what he's like up against them. So hopefully, he doesn't do too well and put himself in the shop window.
Knowing his luck, he probably would put himself in the shop window, but. Also, remember, we got that Hibs away pre-season that we're all waiting for from the club to announce as well. It was supposedly being this summer, so keep your eyes peeled on that one. That would be a fantastic away day up in Edinburgh. We don't have many players left, but we're going to try and get through them as quickly as possible because we wanted to discuss something else very quickly before we go. Jack Greaves, Mike. Obviously, made his debut towards the end of the season. What would you do with Jack Greaves?
It's a tough one because he played the other day and then he wasn't played in his natural position. But when he come on against Middlesbrough, did he go into a more natural position? Because I didn't watch it, so no. Joe's shaking his head. So
I just heard everyone said that he was really bad.
Yeah, so I want to keep him around the club. He's Watford through and through. Send him out on loan, League One. I think he's fair.
Yeah, I'm the same. Loan for me. Caity?
Yeah, I'd probably say loan. Let him get that experience, and he might come back a better player.
Joe?
You know what? I would actually like to see him in and around the club. I would like to see him maybe given a chance in pre-season in his position and see how he is. Obviously, if he looks rusty and looks like he's not really going to do much, then yeah, send him out on loan. But if he looks good in his natural position, which we've seen, Ben, I know you went to a couple of the under-23 games, the cup games and stuff, and you've seen him do well. I don't, he could be a good option to come off the bench next season, and just bed him in slowly. But like I say, it's going to take a pre-season and see what he can do. But yeah, I mean, it's probably not going to work, is it? So yeah, loan him. But that was my thought process.
Yeah, I'm with you as well, Joe. I think that obviously Watford are going to have a small squad next season. We don't have loads of money to work with. I think people like Jack Greaves will be important for Watford next season. Coming off the bench, fresh energy. I think he's going to have a lot of. I think he might have a few more opportunities than maybe we're all thinking. But it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, I want him to be in and around the club, but I think a loan spell would be very beneficial for his career. Next one, Mike, Georgie Chatverdeski.
Keep.
Yeah. I'm keeping as well. Caity?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm keeping as well. I think he's been out literally one of our best players this season, so definitely keeping him.
Yeah. Joe?
Yeah, 100% keep. Again, another player I'm really excited and looking forward to seeing at the Euros. I mean, he's been phenomenal for us, and I think he's only going to get better. So yeah, 100% keep.
Yeah, no, I think it's fantastic, and especially if Yasser goes next season, you got to play him in that number 10 role because he's going to be literally our only flair player. So but yeah, you got to keep him. James Morris. Mike, what would you do with James Morris?
I don't think he's good enough. If I'm being frank, I think we'll get another left back in, or we might even bleed that Albert Eames. I know. I keep thinking he's a left back. He's not. I'd sell James Morris.
Oh, I think he makes a good understudy left back, but with obviously Jamal Lewis was on loan and he's gone back. So if we sell him, we have to bring in 2 left backs this summer. I don't see us doing that. So I think he's going to stay. But that's me saying that I think he will stay. I think a loan spell would be very good for him. But that's whether we can bring in a replacement. 2 left backs. But I'm going to go loan. Caity, what about you?
I'm going to go keep. I'm sort of like in your position, Ben, about how I think he does well as the sort of backup left back. I'm not sure we saw a lot of him this season because Lewis seemed, God knows why, seemed to play every game. But I do think there is a player there when he has played. I think when he does come on and when he has played some games, he has been good. So I definitely would probably keep him, but I would keep him with with a backup in mind. Like someone needs to be ahead of him. Like not bring in Jamal Lewis, but bring in a better left back and have him as like you said, the understudy. I would definitely do that.
Joe, what about you?
Yeah, I'd keep him. He's not very good, I know, but we need backup. I mean, we're not going to get 2 left backs in, are we? Let's be honest. So he's young. He's still learning. There could be improvements there. So yeah, for that reason, I'd keep him in and around.
Watford have supposedly signed a left back as well, haven't they, on loan from Indonesia for next season? Or I'm not sure if it's on loan, but isn't it Zamora? I think it was spoken about on a Do Not Scratch Your Eyes podcast the other week by WFC Rich. So supposedly that's all signed and sealed. So he would maybe be the first choice left back to come in. Sorry, Joe, what did you say again? Was it loan?
No, I said I'd keep him in and around the squad.
Yeah, so he'll be like the understudy. But yeah, we've got a few that we've actually kept, which is surprising. We've only 3 players left. This one, Mike Toby Adiemo. I think he spent the end of last season on loan at Wildstone, but he didn't really get many minutes there.
Didn't get a look in at all. I think he's had his moment at the club. I would probably look to move him on, and I don't mean loan. I just don't think if he was going to have broke through, he'd have done it by now after that moment. And I think we tried to force the hand a little bit when after he scored that goal and we played him and named him in the squad a bit more. But yeah, for me, Sell.
Yeah, for me, I think it's I don't see him playing. It sounds harsh, but I don't see him playing football league football. I don't think it's good enough. I think his standard would be conference and below. I think he's one of these players that maybe could end up playing for like Hemel Hempstead in the National South League. I haven't. I know he's young and that, but you can normally see a little bit more about a player and their potential, but I don't really see it with him. Obviously, he gave us that great moment when he scored against Blackpool on his debut. But yeah, like Mike said, we kind of was forced our hands with him a little bit and gave him quite a bit of game time because we didn't really have the options up top. So and he struggled to get into a struggling Wildstone side. They was fighting for against relegation in the National League. So yeah, for me, I would get rid. Caity, what about you?
Yeah, I'm torn between get rid or loan. I think he's not. I literally like. Obviously, that moment was great, but he's not someone that I even really remember or think about when I think of the squad. I think, like you said, he did have game time. He had a look in. He's had the loan. Nothing's really come of him, but he is young, so I think there's probably a player in that. So I'm probably going to go with loan, just because I don't really see him getting into our squad. But I'll probably go loan.
Okay, Joe.
Yeah, with you, Ben. I'll move him on. I don't think he's good enough to. Unfortunately, he had that really great moment, and I'm really pleased for him. And it's a moment he'll never forget. Obviously, coming in as a professional footballer and stuff, and it was lovely. But I don't really see him any more as he'd probably, if he went to someone like Barnet, I think he'd probably do really well in the conference, like a higher conference side. He might do well, and if it doesn't suit, maybe obviously then drop down again. But I do think there is some sort of a player there, and I think he could end up at a conference side.
Yeah. Only 2 players left now. Mike, Tom Deli Bashiru. 1 year left on his contract. Supposedly Watford have offered him a new contract and he might be exploring his options. What would you do? Would you keep him or would you look to maybe sell and try and get some money out of him?
Really tough one because we need the money, but even if we get the money, there's no guarantee that we're going to spend it. I mean, look at, we got around about circa 50 million for Pedro and Sarr, and none of it was reinvested. So yeah, it's a difficult one. But if I'm cleverly, I'm doing everything I can to try and keep him in that squad because providing you play him in that midfield role and not a bloody right back, he's one hell of a player, and he seems to have got over his injury woes, which is another thing because he was another one that was sort of haunted by injuries. But yeah, for me, keep.
Yeah, I know he's exploring his options, but I really hope he stays at Watford. I think what we've seen this season, the most improved player this season, especially under Tom Cleverley as well. And there's been a few players that have been standouts under him, but when you're playing him centrally, he can run a game. He's so composed on the ball as well, and I think he's fantastic, and hopefully he can stay around next season. So for me, it's keep. Joe, what about you?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Really, I mean, I would really love to keep him. He's really excited me this year, and I really do believe that he would do well in the squad next year. But with a year left on his contract, and there was whispers, wasn't there, that he was not in the side towards the end of the season because he was wanting to explore his options elsewhere, maybe away from the club. If he does decide that his future isn't with the club, then I wish him all the best and hope that he does well wherever he goes. But for me, I would keep him. Really exciting player and really, really good this season.
I'm not being funny though. I know we're all praising him and he has been fantastic this season, but I don't know. Does he think he can get a Premier League move? Because I don't think he's ready. I don't think he's ready yet.
I don't think he's
a bit big for his boots. Like, you've been good, but you're not that good. Like, I think if he went somewhere, I don't think we would get a lot of money for him. He's not someone who I think people are watching him.
I don't know. I think obviously he's a footballer, and like for footballers, you don't have a massively long career, and he's obviously got to explore the right options for him. He's only got 1 year left on his contract. Say he has a terrible year next season, Watford might not renew his contract, and then what he might end up finding like a League One club or something. So he needs to explore these options, doesn't he? Where he can financially be all right. And I don't think he would get a Premier League side, but I think there's maybe top half championship sides that might be interested in Tom Daly, and that might be a better proposition for him than a team that's just finished 15th in the championship that aren't going to hit the playoffs. He might be able to, I don't know, go to a side just outside the playoffs who've got a bit better ambitions of getting into those playoff positions, because there is a player in there, and I think if he can put those injuries behind him, I don't see why he can't be a Premier League player one day. I think he's got the qualities. It's just about staying fit. Joe, what about you?
Yeah, I said I'd keep him.
Oh,
Yeah,
I've lost
Caity.
my thoughts. Caity.
No, I would definitely keep. Like we said, I was quite shocked to hear that he was considering options and wanted to sort of was maybe thinking about moving away, because it isn't the vibe that I get from him. Like Mike was saying, does he? Obviously, I think he's obviously had a good season, and he probably feels like he might be at his sort of like best. So maybe that's why. But I just don't really see us getting a lot of money for him, and it would kind of be like, oh, we're letting quite a good key player go for not a lot of money just because he wants to be in the top half. Like, I definitely think we should keep him, but I just find it weird. I don't know why he wants to leave.
Why would you want to leave Watford in their position? All right, next one. I've left this one till last. I think this is probably the most interesting player, Daniel Batman. Me personally, I would keep him. You all know my thoughts on Daniel Batman. He would be my number one goalkeeper next season. I just don't give him the captaincy. Let him concentrate on being a goalkeeper and keeping the ball out the back of the net. So it would be a keep from me, a firm keep for the keeper. Mike, what about you?
My eyes are going to be sort of fixated to the comment section because I believe we have the founder of the Daniel Bachman Appreciation Club in the comments. So it'll be interesting to see what he says. But for me, I'm keeping him. However, he is going to be my number 2 next season because I think he would be a good squad player to have. And I think he'd be a good cup goalkeeper. If your goalie gets injured or suspended, it's usually Batman that gets suspended because he likes to rush out his penalty area like a prat. But yeah, I'm keeping him as my backup, as my number 2, and I'm getting another goalkeeper in to come in as number 1. Hence why I moved Hamer on.
There was logic behind those thoughts. Joe, what about you?
Yeah, I'm in the keep camp. Whether it's number 1, number 2, I'd keep him. I think he proves himself more than enough in those last handful of games when he came back in when Cleves took over. Kept us in games, didn't he? And showed why he should be number 1. So yeah, on that basis, keep him.
And Caity, clean sweep on Daniel Batman?
Yeah, I'd keep. And Mike, you took the words right out my mouth. I would have said I would keep him as a backup, but hope that we bring in a new keeper. I think he would do great as keeping him around the club and keeping him as a backup. Like you said, he's proven himself. He's, when he was dropped for Hamer, he didn't sulk and like he got on with it and he came back as a better player. I think he's definitely got a place in this side. And that was why I moved Hamer on as well, because if I'm going to keep one of them, I'm going to keep Bachman as someone who can as a backup.
Fantastic. And there you have it, people. That is the voices of Vic. Keep loan, don't resign, release or sell podcast, our thoughts on it. I'll run through them all for everyone who's listening on audio. So we decided to keep Jeremy Ngakia, Wesley Hoot, Yasser Espria, Francisco Sirielta, Edo Kiembe, Ismail Kone, Ryan Andrews, Matty Pollitt, Mileta Rajovic, Georgie Chatverdetsky, James Morris, Tom Deli Bashiru, Ryan Porteous, and Daniel Backman. We have sent out on loan Shaq Ford, Hurtado, and Jack Greaves. We don't want to re-sign Emmanuel Dennis, Jamal Lewis, or Mateus Martins. We have released Ben Hamer and Jake Livermore, and we have sold Tom Ince, Vacuum Bio, Ken Sema, Quadro Bar, Ashley Fletcher, and also Toby Adiemu. That was a bit fun, a little bit different from Voices of Vic. So I hope you've all enjoyed it. Make sure you do get into the comments as well and let us know your thoughts on our vote tonight. I imagine lots of people will disagree as well, but look, you have your say. Let us know in the comments, get involved, and we'll read them all out as well. Just quickly before we go as well, because I know we've been on extra long tonight, but because it's the last Voices of the Vic of the season, we wanted to, and we've just said about players we wanted to keep and clear out. Obviously, we need to bring players in. So I'm going to ask everyone for maybe 2 players that you think might be realistically able for Watford to sign in the summer. And I want to keep this short and sweet, everyone, okay? Because there's not too much time left. As it's short and sweet, I won't come to Mike first. I'm going to come to Joe.
So mine are 2 loan. Mine is Palestri from Manchester United, plays up top on the left wing, and the other is Micah Hamilton from Manchester City. Yeah, I think just from what Cleverley's been saying, you know, he wants to use his connections within the Premier League to get some good loan players, and I think they're realistic. Yeah, but if not Palestri, I think Diallo's is a shout from United next year. So yeah, mine are 2 loan. So that was him.
Perfect. Caity, 2 players that you think Watford could realistically maybe sign in the summer?
So I think we could get Tom Cannon on loan from Leicester. I think he is a proven striker.
From me.
He's a proven striker. He probably won't get much game time now that they're in the Premier League. I think they're going to probably sign a replacement there. And I think, you know, he's proven, he's done well. So I'm going to go for him. And then I was also thinking about Ethan. Is it Ethan Lard from Birmingham? I think he was one of their best players. So I think he did really well this season. I'm not sure we would probably get him as a transfer. I feel like he could definitely get snatched up by a bigger club. I'd maybe take him on loan, seeing as Birmingham went down. It is about sort of raiding the teams that have gone down. So yeah, those were my two players.
Mike, what about you?
The obvious one, I don't know if this has already been mentioned because I just froze, so apologies if it has. The first one for me, the goalkeeper, you've got to be looking at least being in the race to sign Victor Johansson. I think the Rotherham have said that he can go for, is it 300 grand or 350?
No, about 800,000, I think.
Oh, is it 800? So maybe a bit of a sticking point with the price. Do we have that money to spend? I know that sounds crazy. And there'll be bigger clubs in for him. I think Stoke are leading the race at the moment. But for me, I'd be getting him in. And I haven't really had a chance to look at some of the Premier League's loanees, because I think we'll tap up Manchester United again and we'll rekindle that link that we've had for so many years prior. But one player I would go for is Brooke Norton-Cuffy. Now, I don't know if he's still on Arsenal's books and has been loaned out, because I think he was last at Millwall. He's been at Lincoln, Rotherham, Coventry.
Yeah.
But I would go for Brooke Norton-Cuffy. So they would be my 2, Victor Johansson and Brooke Norton-Cuffy.
I thought it was fantastic for Coventry when they got to the playoff final that season. I thought it was fantastic. So yeah, that's a good shout. As Katie's taken my Tom Cannon, I will have to go with another one. I would go for Tyrese Campbell of Stoke City, who is a free agent in the summer. Okay, he's had a lot of injuries at Stoke, but when he's fit, I think he's one of the best strikers in the Championship. He can do everything. He can run the channels, he can hold the ball up, he can score cracking goals. So that would be for me. And then I would raid the League One club as well, same as Caity, but I would go to Huddersfield and look for Sorba Thomas, out and out winger. And I think we need out and out wingers in this squad. Someone who can get assists, someone who can score goals. He was at Boreham Wood as well not so long ago, so he kind of knows the area. So yeah, I would go for him. But yeah, let us know in the comments who you think Watford could realistically sign in the summer as well. Would love to hear your thoughts. Jess has just popped up quickly saying she would go for Charles at Bolton. I think he would be a great signing, but I don't think we've got the money for him, unfortunately. He scored hatfuls of goals in Bolton for Bolton, and I think there'll be bigger teams in the Championship wanting him as well. But fantastic striker. But yeah, thank you everyone for your support this season. Thank you for sticking by the Voice of the Vic and watching and getting involved in the comments. We really do appreciate all your support that you give us. Thank you for a good podcast year for the Voice of the Vic. I know it wasn't great for Watford, but hopefully next season will be better. And just before we go as well, I just want to thank, obviously Cam's not here, but Joe, Caity and Cameron for joining the Voices of the Vic. They've been fantastic new members. If it weren't for them, I don't think me and Mike would still be doing this, if we're totally honest, because we needed the help. So it's been much needed. So thank you very much. You've done a sterling job. Thank you very much to my right hand man Mike as well. He does a lot of work behind the scenes as well. So thank you very much for that. But yeah, we will be back now in the summer. We're going to recharge our batteries and we'll be back in the summer, probably when there's some transfer news or something. We'll jump back on, discuss it, and we'll be on live. So yeah, thank you everyone for your support this summer. Have a fantastic summer. Enjoy the wet weather, which we're guaranteed to have, and stay safe. And we'll see you all soon. Come on, you Ords.